Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Lorenzo, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Let That Marinate podcast. Man, thank y'all so much once again for tuning in. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I really appreciate the love and support, and I hope that y'all continue to do so, man. Thank you for following me on all of my social medias. Thank you for subscribing to YouTube. It just really means a lot, man. It's very overwhelming, and as always, thank you so much. Happy Hump Day, man. It's Wednesday. It's a beautiful day here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The weather's nice. I stepped outside for a second, to get some fresh air, to get some photosynthesis going, get my body moving, you know what I'm saying? And, feeling really good right now. In good spirits, good headspace. So feels really good. I hope you're having a good day thus far. So I want to get into something real quick because there's been a clip that's been surfacing the internet that kind of bothered a lot of people, especially those in the sports world, specifically those who plays football or who have played football. So NFL running back Cam Skabetto. I hope I said his name correctly. Um, he's running back for the New York Giants. He was drafted in the fourth round of 2025. I believe he played 1 year for Arizona State. Then he went on to play 2 years for Sacramento State. And yeah, New York Giants drafted him in the fourth round in 2025. I believe he played a total of 8 games that year, and he had some pretty good moments. He definitely has a pretty promising future in the NFL. I definitely wish him the best. But he went on a recent podcast where he did an interview that and he said something that kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I had to listen to the clip myself. I went and looked up the interview. I believe it's an 18-minute interview, but I just wanted to hear it for myself. Did he really say this? He had some pretty interesting things to say about CTE and asthma. Um, and I couldn't believe what I heard. So I'm gonna play the clip of what he said, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna share my thoughts and opinions about it. So check this clip out real quick. Here we go.
That is. Pretty kind of taken off, like, okay,
Run through my
I get to
first
play.
base.
Yeah, exactly.
You think CTE is a real thing?
No. It's an excuse.
I think asthma's an excuse too.
Yeah.
Is that a hot take?
No, that's a good
That's
take.
valid.
Yes, asthma's fake.
Is there anything worse than when you're in fourth grade?
All right, so there it is. That's what he had to say. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I responded the same way everybody else did. I'm pretty sure a lot of us was like, "What? What did he just say? Why would he say that?" But before I get into it, I do have to point out that he did later go and go on and apologize and retract what he said. Um, he went on X, formerly known as Twitter, and he said, "I recently did an interview and had a lapse in judgment, which resulted in me making a tasteless joke about CTE and asthma. It was never my intention to downplay the seriousness of head injuries or asthma. I sincerely apologize to anyone that was offended by my remarks, and I assure you that I will be more mindful and respectful going forward. Much love." Okay. Oh, okay. Let me bring this up before I say what I want to say about that. So I had to go and I had to, do my due diligence and like actually research this. And I pulled up something uh, where medical researchers back in 2023 um, they did a recent study at the Boston University CTE Center um, where where they had to really like look into this sort of thing because there's been so many situations where so many athletes, you know, had this disease and had no idea that they had it. Right? All they know is something wasn't right about how they were feeling. Something just did not seem right, and they needed to find out why. So a lot of athletes a lot of athletes, they went to, these neurosurgeons and, these medical facilities that specializes in this sort of thing, to figure out what's going on with them. And in 2023, it showed that more than 40% of youth, high school, the collegiate level, primarily football players, um, any of those who were exposed, any of those who are exposed to like this repetitive, you know, head impact, you know, if not treated, if not treated soon and properly, they end up losing their lives. And a lot of them have lost their lives before the age of 30. Think about that for a second. Before the age of 30, right? Like that's kind of that's scary. That is scary. Can you imagine the repetitiveness of being hit multiple times in the head throughout your life? So much so to the point to where it's like eventually it's going to grow worse if not treated, right? Like that's scary to me. That's scary to me. And and let me also bring up, because he brought up you know how asthma is fake as well, and he considers people to be soft if you have asthma. He's like, just breathe air. Even though he said it in a jokingly manner, it really isn't a joke. Asthma is very serious. And of course, I'm not an NFL player. However, I do know a little something about mental health issues, and I also know about asthma. I have asthma myself. I have family members who has asthma. Um, I know people who've died from asthma. I know people who've died from mental health issues, whether it be CTE, whether it be whatever dealing with mental health. I've had my own mental health scare. I tried to commit suicide twice, so I know a little something about mental health. Um, and it is very serious. It is very serious. Now, I also want to bring up because his mom actually made a statement on Twitter. Well, now it's called X, where she says if only people knew how many times Cam had to run and get mom's inhaler, they'd realize the sarcasm. Hmm. So apparently he has asthma also. Okay. She then goes on to say, "You'll never make everyone happy. You'll never say all the right things, and people are bound to spend something sooner or later in a direction it was never intended to go." Okay, now I really want to get into what I want to say. Okay, um, very noble of his mom to come to his defense. You know, all parents do that. However, Miss Skabetto, whatever your name is, um, you're still wrong, just like your son. You're first of all, um, if anything is fake, it was his apology. Um, because apparently, because he came quickly, he came out quickly with the apology after he said what he said. So apparently, somebody said something, PR, coach, his family, whoever. But he immediately came out and apologized and tried to retract what he said. However, you said it. You said it. And in my personal opinion, it came across as if he actually meant what he said. He meant to say that. Whether he meant it as a joke, whether he like whatever. He meant what he said. And I've always been told, be very mindful of how people tend to say things and disguise it as a joke. Because they're really saying they're really speaking on how they really feel. And you can tell from that video he meant what he said. He meant to say that. So his apology, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't. And we really have to. And yes, you're right. We do have to be mindful of the things that we say, and we can't speak on things if we don't really have, you know, the the right information, right? Is because again, look, I'm no expert when it comes to CTE. I just know it's a serious thing. I had to look it up. I had to research it myself to find out what is CTE and the effects that it has on people, and it definitely has an effect on people. There have been some high profile athletes who passed away. Junior Seau, he passed away. Who else? Conrad Dobler passed away. uh, Dave Durison passed away due to CTE. Also, there's a man by the name of Vincent Jackson. Vincent Jackson actually won the Super Bowl that year that he passed away, right? And they were saying that it was due to alcohol poisoning. I know a little something about that as well because I abused alcohol myself. Um, However, again, this is a very serious thing that you cannot joke about, because there are people who are really dealing with this sort of thing. There are people who have family members who know of some people who are dealing with this thing, and it is serious. It is far from fake. It is far from fake. And Skabetto is in a profession where this sort of thing could happen. You are playing a position where if you're hit multiple times, right, this could affect you later on, down the line. This sort of thing could happen to you as well. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, um, imagine, you know, imagine him. There's a play that's designed for him to, I don't know, maybe come out of the backfield and catch the football, right? And he's not paying attention, and you got a safety coming at you full steam ahead, and he hits you. He hits you in the head with his shoulder pads, full impact, just knock you on your ass, right? And the impact is so heavy, and it makes your head just, you know what I mean, just bounce, all over the place. Like, imagine going through that sort of thing. So you got to be very careful of what you say. Because again, dude, you're in a profession where this thing could happen to you. It could happen to you. I just saw a quote from your mom saying how you had to run and grab your mom's inhaler because apparently you have asthma. So imagine you're running all over the place, and your oxygen level is dropping. You know what I mean? And you're trying your best to breathe, and you got this mask on, and you got your inhaler. And I've seen, football players on the sidelines with these masks, trying to get that oxygen. You know what I mean? Trying to be able to breathe and, get their lungs open up. I've seen this happen. So imagine if this sort of thing happened to you, right? Like, dude, this isn't nothing to play about. There's nothing funny about mental health and asthma. There's nothing funny about people dealing with something that could potentially cause them to lose their lives. And many people have lost their lives due to both of these things. So yes, you do have to be mindful of what you say. You do have to be very careful. Because again, it could happen to you. I pray that it doesn't. I'm not speaking it into the atmosphere on your behalf. All I'm saying is you got to be careful, man. You got to be very careful of the things that you say. So anyway, man, that's my take on that. I just had to come on and, talk about that because, again, it's a very sensitive subject to a lot of people. Again, I'm not an NFL player, but I do know a little something about asthma as well as mental health. And it is something that you do not play with. You do not joke about asthma or mental health. Please don't. Just because it's not happening to you right now doesn't mean that it can't. Just because it's not you today doesn't mean that it won't be you tomorrow. So yes, in your words, Please be very mindful of the things that you say. That's today's episode of the Let That Marinate podcast. Until next time, y'all have a great day. Take care.